Senator John Fetterman got emotional during a hearing on disabilities today when he talked about using an app that helps him with language and speech since his stroke.
For coming. And for me, it's been a very personal issue with me. And I'm going to show this, and then I'm going to describe this to others. This is my iPhone, and this is a transcription service that allows me to fully participate in this meeting and conversations with my children and interacting with my staff. I had a stroke about 18 months ago, and I have lost my ability to fully process language. And I like to think I was an empathetic person, truly. But until that happened, I've raised to a whole different kind of level as well. And it's profound to know now that I never really considered that without this kind of technology, I couldn't watch television. And I can't imagine if I didn't have this kind of a bridge to allow me to communicate with other people effectively. And because I live in a political environment, I was ridiculed and made fun of because I wasn't able to process things sometimes or say things. So I'm so sorry that I'm sure many of you had to go through this kind of thing. I was lucky that I was lucky enough to go through my life, the vast majority of that without this kind of disability that I have. But again, I can't imagine and how the challenges, and I admire everyone that has to kind of live with these kind of struggles and prevail over them. And the questions that I have is really more of an open-ended kind of question to everyone on the panel. How can we become more empathetic, more responsive, and more effective senators to provide the kind of support and services that anyone in these communities deserve to be a citizen here in our nation? Mr. Westbrook.
Yeah, I think it just takes political will and the will to become accessible. It takes making it a priority, and just deciding that it's going to be a priority, like Ronza was saying earlier, and on the same level as security and privacy and all that kind of stuff. Accessibility just needs to be another part of doing business, as I mentioned in my testimony this morning. We wouldn't think about building a building without putting in a ramp, to get into the building now. But now we need to think about building websites and digital technologies to make them more accessible.
Thank you.
Fetterman sounds great there, which is great news because we haven't heard a lot from him since he had that stroke and since he took some time out from the Senate to deal with some depression that he was trying to treat. Now, those are two things that Republicans have criticized him for, have kicked him when he's down. And it reminds you of the fact that these guys are bullies. It's a party of inhuman thugs who will use people suffering to try to score political points, whether that's Fetterman and his recovery from the stroke, whether that's President Biden and his speech impediment. Republicans will criticize anyone who opposes them, who doesn't look like them, who doesn't praise the same God as them, who doesn't worship the deity of Donald Trump that they worship in that little cult. But this is a great moment, and a moment I really wanted to share because there are people out there who are suffering like John Fetterman, who need to see a ray of light and see people overcome these obstacles that they have in front of them and overcome them and achieve great things to go on to do work in the Senate. President Biden, who overcame a speech impediment to become the president of the United States. So, a fantastic moment in the Senate. It's beautiful when you have human moments in politics because you don't get them a lot, and you certainly aren't going to get them from that party of bullies who wants to kick guys like Fetterman when he's down.